Hey, what's up? This is Ross, and here's doing another video review. And today we're going to talk about Star Trek, the original series set on Blu-ray. And this is actually going to be a two-part because I can't really fit all of them in one section. Now I'll try, and if I successfully get all of them in one video, then I won't be doing a part 2. So just heads up. I mean, if I get them all in one video, then I won't do part 2. Okay, so first we go with Star Trek the Motion Picture, which is the debut movie of the Star Trek movie franchise, which came out in 1979. And now, I'm not going to get into the details of the plot line and everything like that. I'm just going to tell you basically how I think that they look, okay? Now, this was a movie that they spent a lot of time on and a lot of money on. It was really big. It was really extravagant. The models were very expensive and very, very large. I think the model was about 70 feet that they used for V'Ger in the film, okay? So that is what they used. The model that they put together for V'Ger is what they use in the film, and it took up almost a whole entire studio. I mean, their studio was like about 100 feet long, and their model replica of V'Ger took up the whole there was only 30 feet left in the studio, so, and that's an actual fact. The movie is rather slow, but it's a visual treat to look at. It's a visual wonder to look at. And actually, I would probably say that it ventures to be the best looking one in this whole entire set. Okay, now we got that one out of the way. Now we get to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which when this set came out was about... it was about to celebrate its 30th anniversary. Like, this set came out in 2011. Wrath of Khan was celebrating its 30th anniversary. So, what I think Wrath of Khan is I think it is the masterpiece of all of the Star Trek movies, period. I don't think there's one Star Trek movie that is better than The Wrath of Khan. The Wrath of Khan is like the supreme Star Trek movie of all Star Trek movies. It's got action, it's got a good storyline, it's got a hero in Captain Kirk, it's got an enemy in Ricardo Montalban who pushes his buttons, it's got incredible special effects, amazing battle scenes. I mean, this movie is pretty much the Star Trek movie that basically every other Star Trek movie has to live up to, and they really don't. I mean, the rest of them are good, but they don't measure up to Star Trek II, because that is the masterpiece of the collection. All right, and that I'd venture to say is the second best looking movie in this series. Okay, now we're going to get to Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, which is, well, it was on a shoestring budget. They shot it entirely on a set. And what happened was that they gave Leonard Nimoy the job to direct it, or basically Leonard Nimoy wanted to direct it. He said he would come back if he had some kind of creative, step into the next Star Trek movie. He says, okay, well then how about you let me guys direct it? Okay, and they said, okay. We'll let you direct it, and then we'll see how you do. He did great. He did a very fiery, passionate movie. Christopher Lloyd played the enemy very well, you know. It was a very, very impressive movie. Okay? Which led to basically, and Star Trek 3 looks average for a Blu-ray, you know. It looks basically better than the DVD release, but it looks average. Then we get to Star Trek 4. Alright, and this is the one, I don't care if you go on the street, everyone knows about Star Trek 4. It's just, oh, what about the Star Trek with the whales? There you go. Everybody will know about that one. This is the most universal Star Trek there is. Everybody knows about this Star Trek. You know, it's kind of like the Daleks in Doctor Who, the Klingons in Star Trek, and then you have in the movie series Star Trek The Voyage Home, which is basically the most universal one. And Leonard Nimoy did probably the best job directing this, and it is the second best Star Trek movie out of the whole entire series. It is very, very well done, okay? And the Blu-ray transfer is actually not that bad. It's fairly good. It's just not as good as Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 1. Alright. Now we get to Star Trek 5, the Final Frontier. Now this god-awful movie was directed by William Shatner, who basically decided to get into the Star Trek foray and give us probably one of the most bizarre Star Trek movies there is. This movie is freaking bizarre. It is bizarre right from the start. And it really doesn't make any sense. Now, there's a few laughs in the movie that are kind of funny. A few jokes from Scotty and stuff like that. A few jokes from the gang. But it's not good. It's not good at all. It's really, really bad. It's lousy. Now, the transfer on Star Trek 5 is... it's okay. It's alright. Alright? Now the Star Trek movie series, for the final crew, gets to redeem themselves because this is their last mission in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Now, Star Trek VI is one of the best Star Trek movies there is, I think. And it's basically all about a conspiracy theory and basically the Klingons. And Kirk and Nimoy, I mean not Nimoy, but Kirk and McCoy, they get set up. And they get set up by the Klingons. And then what happens is basically it's kind of a mystery tale about unraveling what happened, you know, and how they got set up and everything like that. And that, I think, is really, really creative. And it's got some really awesome special effects. I mean, it's got some really cool computer animation. It's got some pretty cool effects, you know, and it's got some great music, you know, and this movie was a good final adventure for the Star Trek crew. And Star Trek 6 actually was their last movie because Gene Roddenberry had passed away, and they kind of wanted to do something else after that, so they decided to move on with the crew, you know. And this was kind of right about where Star Trek The Next Generation was in its about third year, and it was, you know, they wanted to move it on. Okay. Now, this set comes with like a kind of like a really cool like interview thing where it shows like all kind of like some of the captains sit down and talk, and it's really funny to watch. So that's really a cool bonus feature about this set. And I'd probably say that Star Trek VI is pretty good looking. It's not bad for a Blu-ray. Okay, so I managed to stick these all in one video, so my next video will be the Next Generation movies. So that's all for now, and thank you for watching.